You had a Kundalini awakening and now you cannot work. You cannot do anything on your work, on your career, on your business. You're completely stuck. You have a rebel inside of you that says, I don't want to do this anymore, any longer. I don't care. If that's the case, just stick to the video, because I know this topic goddamn well. I know it very well. Why? Because, as I said many times, I'm Alan, and I had a Kundalini awakening in 2018. Back in the days, I was an agnostic person. Didn't know anything about spirits. I didn't care. I thought it was all bull crap. I was running my business. I had huge ambitions. I had a business. I was living my dream life. I mean, not fully, but I was almost there, let's say. It took 5 to 6 years to build, with 12 hours a day, every day, working my ass off to build my business. And I was basically in a position where I said to my customers, I should pay you because you allow me to work on the things I like. So this is my condition when in 2018 I had a Kundalini awakening. And long story short, in a short 6 months I lost everything I had. Everything, from physical assets to money in the bank and the real business itself, which was a money-making machine. It was everything to me. And I ended up almost homeless. Well, I was basically homeless, and it took me a lot of years to come back to point zero. So the topic of today is really dear to me, and we will discuss the why, and some fixes you could apply today to get out of the situation. I hope the wind is not too much strong and you can hear me. How this condition manifests, so you know if you're the person I'm referring to. Well, first of all, you have strong impediments, and this could be both physical or psychological. The physical ones are, the classic Kundalini Syndrome symptoms. You're feeling this energy in your body, this electricity, this heat or cold, or both at the same time. You're having this restlessness that doesn't allow you to really focus and concentrate on the things you want to. Basically, you might have also the kriyas, your body making moves. You feel like doing yoga poses or just tai chi moves, qigong. It's like your body has a life of its own, and it wants to do stuff. It wants to do embarrassing movements, and you cannot afford to do them in front of people. You are in an office. You are a serious person, after all. You cannot be making stuff like this. Now, my kriyas now, today, are kind of smoother now. But at the time, back in the days, I remember me doing just jerky movements like this. And it was like embarrassing for myself. So, the physical stuff is pretty much this. Any person is different, so you might be feeling different symptoms. But let's move to the psychological ones. You might be feeling like difficult to focus, difficult to. I see bikes behind me. You might have difficulty concentrating. You need to read stuff 2 or 3 times before grasping them. And decision making is really impaired. Mine was impaired a lot. That's why I lost everything I had. Basically, I went from a rational, to run a business, you need a logical mind. You need to deal with numbers. You need to deal with. You need to stay in touch with reality. You need to stay in touch with. Okay, we don't want to call. You don't want to call it reality. This dimension. Okay. You have to be really observative of this dimension. You have to grasp how this world works, because it doesn't go away when you awaken. This world is here to stay, even for the enlightened people. They will have a physical body which needs nurturing, which needs food, and you have to use, if not daily, at least a few times a week, the crap. You have to go to the bathroom. Okay? And this is the very thing I ignored and I forgot to do when I had a Kundalini awakening, because Kundalini awakening propels you in the sky. It moves your whole thing into the dimension above this, and you feel like, I'm gone, I'm done, I am over this world. I got it. This world is what they called Maya, the matrix, the illusion. Okay, but we will discuss this point later. Let's stick to why the physical, the signs that you're having difficulty in your work or career now. You feel in a limbo state. You know that your job, your career is not fulfilling you anymore. You don't like it. You don't want it. But at the same time, you feel like you want something more. I recall myself thinking, I desperately needed something meaningful. I desperately needed something that was worth my time, my energy, and that was of service. Not just making money for the sake of making money. What's the point? It made me sick. And this is very tied. So you are in this limbo state. You know you want something better. You're looking for something new, something completely different, but you still don't know what. You have an hint, you have an intuition, but you still don't have an idea. So you're stuck in the middle between the old and the new. You live in this middle heart, in the fog, in the black forest. And this other symptom, I recall this very well, some kind of rebellion. I sit on the computer trying to do my work, but I felt like a wall, an invisible barrier between me and the job. I had my legs, and this was even before this happened to me in the preparation. Because I think, in my case, I had a main event. I distinguish a main event from which things changed forever, and preparation time that lasted a few months, maybe 6 months. And during those 6 months, I recall sitting at a computer, but I couldn't do anything because my legs were literally shaking. It was like the body was telling me, get the fuck out of the chair, I don't want to stay here anymore. And at the time, I mean, I didn't know anything about spirituality, figures, Kundalini or chakras. I thought, okay, this is just burnout. It's just physical burnout, and the body wants to rest. So this might be happening to you. Like you sit doing the things you have to do, and you cannot, because a rebel part of you is screaming, stop, get me out of here, I don't want it anymore, I can't stand this anymore, get me out of here please. If it's a kind part. If it's like mine, it would scream at you and curse at you. And this is the most this other sign that you might be having a rough Kundalini awakening during your work is because and this is very tough. This was one of the toughest things to digest for me. It was like looking back to whatever you accomplished, looking back at all your ambitions, looking back at all your accomplishment also, and think of them as absurd, like useless. This was really destabilizing for me, because it took me, as I said earlier, it took me 5 to 7 years working my ass off every day. The unbearable pain, the unbearable amount of efforts and work that I put in to basically design and accomplish my goals, to go and live in the country that I liked, to go and work online, because when this happened to me, doing business online wasn't that, I recall people, when I told people that what I did, people told me, oh, you do make money online? How is it even possible? That's a scam. Okay? So the effort that I made back then to be able to live the life I wanted was so huge, and after Kundalini awakening, all that seemed like useless. Seemed like, why did I waste all this time for this crap? It was literally like I became somebody else which didn't care about anything I accomplished. And I always said, we had a big reset in 2020, but I used to say I was reset even before. I was reset in 2018. And okay, you might be feeling the same way. Nothing else mattered. Everything you did, everything you stand for, your financial goals, your maybe even your visions of the future. You envisioned, some kind of lifestyle, some kind of person. You figured the kind of family you would have, but all of that is like a dream now. And again, this is a limbo, because feels like a limbo, because you want to go elsewhere, but you don't know where. It's like being born again. Now, let me check my notes here. Why this happens? Now let me tell you something else. Well, of course, among the physical aspects, and there is the fact that Kundalini enhances your sensitivity. So dealing with customers, dealing with colleagues, bosses, the environment itself, it became really, really difficult, because the lights, the smells, the emotions of people, you can feel them much more. And you crave for solitude, you crave space of your own to think, to feel, to stay in contact, to stay in touch with your deepest parts. And working is really the last thing you feel like doing in this moment, in this phase. And maybe it's even, maybe not really in the initial stages, but later in the journey you'll feel the need to be independent. You feel the need to stop feeding the matrix system by working for the basic construct, the basic jobs that feeds the machine of this world. And you feel like doing something that matters, become self-employed, and do something that is really of that has an impact on people, to help them experience the same thing you did, instead of instead of pushing them into sleep and slumber. This is the reason I'm here. This is the very reason I'm here. Not that I am comfortable with the camera, not that it's something that comes easy to me, but it's the call. The call is to do something that is meaningful. Now, why is this happening? So we've seen the various how, and now let's see why this happened. Well, one thing is that I think it's happening is brain integration. You see, awakening is, as the word implies, it's awaken. So it's to enhance, to awaken, to reactivate parts of us. And the main thing that is activated is the integration between the hemispheres of the brain, and by extensions the whole psychological and emotional parts of us. The problem of the world, one of the problems of the world, is that we have people that are pretty much left-brainers, and only left-brainers, and people that are right-brainers. So the left-brainers are the, think of me before the Kundalini awakening. Well, it's not that true, because I've always been kind of balanced, but let's say when I was sober, I leaned more towards the left side. I was logical, I was rational, I didn't need to see, I needed to see stuff before believing. While the right side people are more creative, are more feminine, are more intuitive. And Kundalini, the job, one of the tasks of Kundalini is to burn the barrier that separates. This is a metaphor. I don't think anything is really happening on the biological level, but it's reuniting yin and yang. That's why it's called Shakti and Shiva. The male principle and the female principle, they unite. And this allows you to become integrated, to use both hemispheres, to be both very masculine but very feminine too when necessary. You know, again, I was saying the problem of the world is that we have people that are pretty much logical and people that are just creative, and they both are handicapped because the logical is missing a lot of the spectrum of life. The joy of, you know, creating, painting, doing music, reading poetry, whatever, feeling emotions, and maybe let's picture a guy which is really in the an entrepreneur, really in the left side. He's able to make a lot of money because he understands money, understands numbers. He's very masculine. He knows how to speak. He knows how to communicate. He's very practical, relentless. He works hard. And on the other side, you have a huge artist. Why? I mean, in the past we have artists that are now huge, and their masterpieces are invaluable. They cost millions of dollars, but they died poor. So you get the analogy here. You can be really into the intuitive side, but you're not good with numbers. You're not good with practical living, and you struggle with money. You struggle with reaching your results because you don't stop thinking, you don't stop taking notes, you don't stop analyzing stuff, and that's an handicap. So you have billionaires which are unhappy because they lack spirit, and you have artists and meditators that are blissful. They feel the bliss until they have to pay the rent, and then they feel the pain again. So Kundalini is helping us to reunite those parts. And on a neurological standpoint, this is the confusion, this is the lack of focus. There's a lot of stuff going on in your nervous system, in your psychology during this phase of reconnection. This is why you have confusion. This is why you lack decision-making skills. If you used to be a rational person, you feel all of a sudden your intuition pushing you to do stuff. You began to listen, to hear the voice of intuition screaming. On the other side, if you were an intuitive person, you became to be more grounded, to understand that you have to embrace the logical side of your brain. I always made this, in my case, just to make the point, I remember, imagine I was, most of my sober day time, I spent my consciousness in the, let's say, the brain, in the logic side of myself, and 20% of what it was intuition. So, example, I needed to make a decision about something. I mean, even a stupid, easy decision for, I don't know, what to eat. Not only big life decisions. This goddamn alarm. Let me pause the video a bit. I hate sounds. Back in business. I get distracted very easily. Now, imagine 80% of my consciousness was into the left brain side I was logical. I took my decision based on logic, on data. Okay. But 20%, I mean, I admit 20% was the voice of the intuition. It was the heart that was there, and it was ever present. It was always present. You know, imagine I have to take a decision and have the brain saying, the data saying, I should choose this because logically this is the best thing. And you add the heart, which said, no, maybe you should do this. It was like a voice which is with a lower volume. Let's stick with the example. The logical voice was screaming, and the intuition, the heart, was a small voice. And that's pretty much how I lived most of my sober day life. I say sober. I keep teasing you with sober because the reason I got high with alcohol and other substances is because we all feel the need to be more intuitive, and alcohol was one of the way to turn off the prefrontal cortex, the rational parts, and access the subconscious. Anyway, so during my own Kundalini awakening, what happened is everything flipped. I was 80% intuition and heart. I was coming from the heart, and 20% was the logical side. The roles switched. Now there was the heart acting, because the point is, who's in control will take over the body. If your logical side is in control, you'll do stuff in the world which are logical and rational. If your heart is in control, you're gonna do stuff that are more in tune with the heart. So when the heart was in tune, now I remember, and the crazy stuff is, I was there witnessing that I was not any of the parts. I was not the rational part. I was not the intuitive part. I was super partus. I was above them. I was just watching them. And it was funny because I remember my day became drastically different because I couldn't work. My day became totally different. And then I started doing stuff I would never do. And because the heart was in control. And now I heard the 20% of the rational mind was there with a small volume, screaming, "You're gonna get us killed! You're gonna get us killed! Let's go back home! Let's go back to normal!" So, if you understand, this is one of the reasons why you are having difficulty at your job, because your brain is trying to make you conscious of the other side, the other side of the coin. You have to see both. You have to become both. You have to become both fluent in this world and on the other world. You have to become fluent with mathematics and philosophy. You have to become a scientist and a mystic. That's why we have two hemispheres, not because a bird needs both wings to fly. Okay? Let me get my notes before I rant a little bit more. Logic and intuition rebalance. We just spoke about that. Prefrontal cortex activity decreasing. Yeah, this is the logical side subsiding for a bit. Work, career. Okay, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Your career or your job or any kind of choices you made before this event of Kundalini awakening was taken by the old self, your old version, the version that now is afraid. Maybe the version that's in this moment watching this video and it's looking for answers and it's looking for reassurance because it understands there's much more and they need to change, let's say upgrade. They need to navigate an epic change. So the old self envisioned the life you're living now. You created the life you're living now based on the old information that you had. Now a new huge information just came to you and it opened up a whole new world of possibility, a whole new world of things to discover, of a million new questions about life and existence. And everything you've built since today was based on that. Now that you know that you were in a prison, those four walls are not enough. And that's why it all seems useless. It all seems like a cage, like a prison. You don't want to do any more of that. Because since yesterday, it was everything you knew. You didn't knew better. You did not knew better. That was the best thing you could envision. Now you're in this limbo. You know there's something more. There's something huge. Something you can even picture or imagine. And you want to expand. You want to expand to reach those new edges. So that's pretty normal. You feel like the status and the money can't buy you anymore. You were maybe moved by having material possessions, by having status, and those things feels like frivolous jokes, stuff for kids, and that's funny. Also, one of the reasons you might not be functional at work is that because Kundalini Awakening forces you to go into yourself, to become more introvert, or to put your attention in the inside instead of the outside. And that's, a little bit incompatible with running a business or walking to a job that you don't feel like yours anymore. Now, how to fix this? Well, I'll try to make a short-term fix list of things you could be doing. And these are equally important whether you are having any symptoms related to Kundalini. And it's not a list, is a motivation. Is a motivational list more than a practical list of long-term things you could be doing. Well, short-term, change your diet. You need to change your diet. So-called grounding food. Protein and fat, basically. If you were vegetarian or vegan and it's not too much of a shock for you and you can do it, start eating meat. That's what I did. I was so vegetarian, almost vegan, but I was vegetarian before Kundalini Awakening that even I recall one day I, by mistake, a guy I asked for a vegetarian sandwich and there was fish in it. Because, people think that fish grows on tree. Anyway, there was fish in it and I was about to puke just because there was a sardine in the sandwich. So I was vegetarian and I felt very bad when during my Kundalini Awakening I felt like eating intuitively pork. I didn't eat pork for years, I guess, and I felt drawn to it. I was disgusted by the smell itself, but I intuitively felt like eating it, and I did it, and I felt better. So if this is something you can do it. Don't let dogmas stop you. After all, you've just experienced that everything is fake, everything is a matrix, everything is just condensed energy, and that there's no bad or good. And conversely, if you are a meat eater, go vegan. Do the opposite of what you've been doing. Okay? The point here is the food is something that can help you reduce the symptoms. And the magic formula is, there is no magic formula. Well, there is, and it is just act on data. Every person is unique. You have to think with yourself, with your head. You have to come with your own solution. Stop believing what people says online. Don't believe me. Don't believe anything I say ever. Just take what you think could be useful, apply it, and if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, trash it. Okay? So just know that diet is something important. Go inside yourself and understand what your body is asking you in order to become more grounded. If you are a knowledge worker, if you are an intellectual worker and you work in an office, if possible, well, if it is your business or you are in control, you have some kind of agency here, the better would be to take vacations, take a pause from it, and leave the job for a while and go outside. Go and use your hands. Do sports, do joggings, go to the gym when it's not crowded. Learn something new, take gardening lessons, cut down a tree, I don't know. Use your hands, occupy your hands so that the mind is not overloaded with questions and informations. The body in this moment is threatened. It feels like it's about to die, because Kundalini energy does this. Your mind and body feels like they're going to be transcended. They feel like they're obsolete and they're going to be left behind. Use them so they are reassured that they are there to stay. Stop the energy work. Stop anything that is about energy manipulation and control. So meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, Reiki, the reconnection, and all kind of spiritual practices, even prayers. All those just move the energy, just move the spiritual energy in your body. And if you keep doing them, you're gonna interfere with the work of Kundalini. There is no need to pour more energy in your system. You have enough already of energy. Stop anything that will enhance your energy. Okay. Long-term fix. And this is the toughest part, because I have bad news for you. There is no long-term, the long-term change is change your job, change your career. That's what I did. That's what I was forced to do. Was it painful in the beginning? Yes. You bet it was. I lost everything I had. I was homeless. I lost 25,000 euros to stay low. I estimated this amount, but I'm being conservative here, of lost money because I was too quick in my decisions and I left everything. I thought I was Neo. I thought I just escaped the matrix, that the physical world did not apply to me anymore. That I was to be that God would take care of all of my needs, that God would take care of all my physical necessities. But that didn't happen. So my warm suggestions here is, I know you might feel like your actual job is not ideal for you. You might feel also guilty because you're working, I don't know, for a bank or something. You could be working for a company that is its mission is to enslave minds with I don't know. You're working for gambling, for the gambling industry, whatever. I don't care how bad your business, the business in which you're in, just don't rush any decision. Don't rush it, because you have a body that still needs eating. You have a body that still needs affection, love. You have a mind that still needs a certain need of relaxation, security. If you're hardcore, okay, leave your job and live homeless. Do like the Buddha did. Just leave everything behind. But I would think twice before I do something like this. It took me 6 years to get out of it. Okay? So, the long-term idea is to slowly embodying. Well, first of all, you have to stabilize the new consciousness, because Kundalini awakening is an opening. The old self is slowly being dismantled, is slowly being decommissioned, and a new consciousness is pouring into the body. And those two fight. Those two entities will fight. Your old self and your new self will fight harshly. There will be war inside of you between light and dark. And there is no better part. There is no winner. Light is not better than dark. And this is one of the toughest things I had to learn. I thought, okay, there must be one of those parts that is the real, and the other one should go away. No. I often cite Mr. Robot, the series, where Elliot, the main character, fights the Mr. Robot, his alter ego. And to me, that's a spiritual analogy. And there is a scene in which Elliot, I'm afraid I'm spoiling something, but if you saw the series, you will understand what I'm saying. Elliot plays, they fight themselves so badly. They are in a war, and nobody seems to be able to win. So they decide, okay, we'll sit and we play chess. And they understand that nobody can beat the other. Elliot cannot beat Mr. Robot, and Mr. Robot cannot beat Elliot. They are always, the play always end draw. This is the same with the spirit. For me, it took 6 years, and it's a long time. I'm slow, what can I say? And I'm here. The only reason I'm in front of this camera is because both parts understood they should not fight themselves. There is no way they can win. No part is stronger than the other. They have to merge. The left and the right side have to merge. They have to collaborate. You have to become an integrated human. A human that can be compassionate and loving, but also take this word and cut heads as a warrior if necessary. That's the only purpose of the awakening. Otherwise, it's just mental, spiritual masturbation. It's not easy to leave a career, to leave everything you've built for. this could be happening to you and you're young, very young, or you could be 50, 60 years old. It's even harder then. I understand. So I'm not sugarcoating anything. I know it's hard, and there is no way around it. We can work on relieving the suffering. As I always say, there is a part of suffering that is mandatory. I'm not fucking lying. I will never lie. There is a part that is mandatory, but a lot of the suffering and the pain could be avoided because we self-inflict this out of our ignorance or because we lack guidance, and likely the non-mandatory suffering could be avoided, and it's a lot. It's more than we think. But again, the mandatory suffering is there for a reason. This is the reason a few people are able to awaken, because the suffering involved in it is so big. So the point is, you will slowly but steadily change your life, your career. You will make choices that it's like you're born again. It's like going back after college or school, and you're thinking, oh, what should I do with my life? And it's hard. It's like, going backwards. But eventually you will find your reason to be. You will find what is your purpose. And slowly you will begin to build around it. Just one last note. Since I mentioned ambition, I was driven by ambition back then before the awakening. And when I found myself missing any kind of ambition, it was the dark night of the soul, because if you have no ambition, life becomes pretty boring and even useless, And I thought, I was afraid. My biggest terror was I would live a miserable life. Yeah, I'm awakened. I knew I was awakened. I'm awakened. I know everything. I know a lot of stuff. I know what 90% of people would never know. But what is this knowledge for? What is this knowledge for? I thought the truth was liberating, but the truth just made me more depressed. What is the point of knowing the truth if you cannot make anything out of it? I don't want the truth. As Cypher said in the movie The Matrix, ignorance is bliss. And that was my mantra for 3 to 4 or even 5 years. Ignorance is bliss. I want to go back, and I don't want to. This Kundalini of yours, keep it. I don't want it. Keep it for yourself. Awaken other people. I don't want to be awakened. I want to just be asleep and happy. And that's something that could be happening to you. And I can assure you, when you stabilize, the ambition, you will get back to normal, as a normal human would act, but with a higher purpose. Your ambitions will be there, but not just for yourself. Your ambitions will be different, will be for others to experience the freedom that you did when you were awakening. You are working as a warrior for a higher good. You understand you are part of a bigger system, and you're just a facilitator. If you're having difficulty navigating your Kundalini awakening, I coach people one-to-one. There is a link in the description. Just click on it, and we can start talking if necessary.